Roosevelt's first great problem was the banks. Americans had lost confidence in their banks. They were showing up to get their money out only to be told that the bank had run out of money and all the money they had left in the bank was just gone. It was just, you were never going to get it. It was just gone. Sorry. There were no government programs to help you. That was just it. So you save your whole life. There's a run on your bank, and these are bank runs you see here. If you're not at the front of the line, you lose everything. And so people started pulling their money out of the bank, terrified that they were going to lose their money. I misspelled holiday there. Banks were closing left and right. And when one bank would close, they would call in all the loans they had out, and businesses and people with mortgages couldn't pay them, and they would lose their business or lose their house. People would lose their life savings, and so there was less demand. People were unable to buy things, and that would cause a wipeout of the next bank, and the next bank, and the next bank, and this was becoming a domino effect. 2 days into Roosevelt's presidency, he calls for a bank holiday. This is March 6, 1933. He shuts the banks down for 4 days. This is the Emergency Banking Act. It does a number of things. It puts in measures to stop small bank collapses from causing big ones. It says the federal government will go in and audit the books of every bank in America before they can be reopened. And the federal government will use federal money to prop up unstable banks so people don't lose everything if their bank collapses. The federal government reorganizes the worst of the banks, and Roosevelt gets this passed in a matter of hours. And by the end of that week, 3 out of 4 banks in the country have reopened, and $1 billion of American money is put back into the banks. By saying that the federal government had looked at the banks and it was guaranteeing that they were sound, that they were not going to go under, this restored Americans' confidence to go back to using banks and saved the banking system. Later that afternoon, the bank holiday was passed in the morning of his second day. That afternoon, Roosevelt will pass the Economy Act. He cuts federal pay and veteran pensions by 15%. He tells Americans that everyone will share in the economic suffering. And this also helps to restore confidence, the idea that the president and the people in the federal government are kind of in it with them. In June of 1933, the Glass-Steagall Act creates the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, which is basically an insurance policy all banks pay into. And if a bank collapses, the people who have their money in that bank get paid out of that insurance policy, which means today, and this is the way it is, you can go put your money in the bank, and as long as I think it's up to about $500,000 now, or something like that, more money than I have in the bank. If that bank goes under, this insurance policy will pay me back. So it's not really that big a deal to me if my bank goes under, although I bank at a big bank, so it's a really big deal if it goes under, but nonetheless. Glass-Steagall also says that the investment side of the bank, the side that buys stock market, buys stocks and bonds in the stock market and takes risky bets, has to be separated from the commercial side of the bank, the side of the bank where you go put your paycheck in. And basically what it's saying is the government can't, or the bank, can't gamble with regular people's paychecks, which is one of the things that led to the Great Depression. This is going to lead to a far more stable economy with much, much less severe crashes for generations until Glass-Steagall is repealed in the 1990s, and we've gone back to these sort of boom and bust economies that Glass-Steagall had regulated. The Truth and Securities Act requires disclosure, meaning that when you're selling stocks and financial instruments, you have to explain what's in them and what they are. The Security and Exchange Commission is established as a watchdog to keep an eye on the stock market. They're the cops of the stock market. Congress also legalizes 3.2% beer. Now, this is fairly weak beer, but it's better than the no beer, if you like alcohol anyway, that we had seen throughout the 20s. The 21st Amendment had already been passed by Congress and had been sent to the states. And the 21st Amendment didn't ban alcohol. It just made it okay for Congress to ban alcohol if Congress wanted to, so Congress could begin to relegalize it. And it's important to understand we ended the ban of alcohol not because people were just demanding to drink or not because organized crime was out of control. That wasn't really true. We ended it because Roosevelt said it would be a jobs program. He said, hey, all you people out there looking for work, you can't find a way to feed your family. Wouldn't it be great if you could go get a job down there at the local brewery in your town? And so we actually end Prohibition as a way to stimulate the economy and put people back to work.